When we were scheduled to go to China, I had heard that there was a woman who had a daughter who had married an Oriental man, a physician, and I decided to call her, and I introduced myself and said, I would like to meet someone in China, and I understand your son-in-law is there, and she confirmed it, and she did give me his name and phone number. So when we got to Beijing, I did call the number, and with some difficulty, but anyway, eventually I did get to talk to him, and I gave him every opportunity to invite me to his home. But he said he would requisition at that time, private people could not own automobiles. All automobiles were owned by the government. And he indicated that he would requisition an automobile and come to meet us. And I said, we're just in the hotel here. He said, that's okay. Anyhow, that when I told our guide that this man was going to requisition a automobile, he said, well, he must be high up on the pecking order. He arrived with a chauffeur and his wife. And again, we greeted him and we're sitting in the lounge. And then again, I gave him every opportunity to invite us to his home. And he didn't. And eventually I invited him up to our room. Meanwhile, Lorraine got to talk to the wife, and Lorraine kind of figured out why they did not invite us, because as she talked to his wife, she realized that although they were high up on the pecking order, supposedly, their living conditions was really quite primitive. And she figured that may be why they did not want to invite us, because they had lived in Chicago, etc. Meanwhile, the doctor and I were talking, and then I said to him, Doctor, do you have any idea? Have you had any experience with with acupuncture? And he said yes. And I said, does it work? And he said, in about a third of the patients. And I say, isn't that interesting? Hypnosis works in about a third of patients. Placebo works about a third of the patients. Do you have any idea of what the mechanism might be? And I thought he would say no. And at that time, this was 30 years ago, the concept of endorphins, etc., serotonin, it was not common knowledge. At any rate, when I asked him, do you have any idea of the mechanism? He said, well, Dr. Klein, I think it could be the release of endorphins from the brain. So he put a pin in my balloon and increased my estimation of him. There's another aspect of this story, and that is that we got to talk to him, get to know them both, and we found out that they had a daughter and two sons. And we knew that the education system in China is pyramid. That is, you go to a certain level of education, then you pass an exam to go one step higher, etc. And we knew that the daughter had passed the exam to go on to college, and I guess we knew that the sons had not passed on that. So we knew about that. We had come to China with a group of Americans, actually all Jewish people, all related, the Winter family and us, and we were included. And there were, I think it was 12 or 13 of us from this small area here that we came in. And we had a wonderful time. And several years later, we had a get-together reunion of these people that had been to China together. The group of us were at a Chinese restaurant in Milwaukee, and reminiscing about our episode in China several years before. And while we were talking, one of the waitresses came up to me and said, "Were you in China?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Were you in Beijing?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Do you know Dr. So-and-so?" That was exactly the doctor that we had met. And it turned out that we found out from her that the two sons who had not passed the grade to go to college in China had decided to come back to the United States because they were less than 26 years of age and were still considered citizens of the United States. And they came back and they were enrolled in UWM as students in Milwaukee. And she was dating one of those sons. So it's called Jewish geography or coincidence or whatever. But I thought that was unique.